Hi, and welcome to Author Uncut. I'm your host and author, Patrice Williams Marks. Hi, and welcome back. I've written quite a few novels, but today I want to talk about one that's really close to my heart. It's called The Abduction of Nelly Don. It's a historical fiction based on a true story. But who was Nelly Don or Nell Donnelly? Well, this trailer for my book may give you a little hint.
We were a family. My designs made us millions. Our employees shared in the wealth. But the rest of the country was suffering. No one was safe. I was taken by outsiders who had killed before. They wanted $150,000. My husband, a detective, the FBI, and a senator did what they had to do to find me. Lines were crossed. All efforts failed. All hell broke loose. I did what I had to do to survive. The Abduction of Nelly Don by Patrice Williams Marks.
So, who was Nelly Don? Well, she was a self-made millionaire who created an empire in the 1920s and 30s that lasted until about the 1970s. She came from humble beginnings as the daughter of a farmer and was number 12 of 13 children. When Nell married, she was not interested in wearing shapeless sacks, so she sewed what she wanted to wear. It was a flattering and somewhat form-fitting dress that could be worn by all women doing housework or out and about. She found a niche and filled it. She charged only $1 per dress, and soon they were in steady demand. Her dresses often sold out. She offered many sizes, from the petite woman to the more robust one. Offering plus sizes was unheard of during that time. She quickly moved from her home to a factory with multiple floors in order to meet the growing demand. Not only was Nellie a pioneer in women's fashion, but also in how a corporation treats their employees. She employed many women, offered them high wages way above the average, paid for their education and child care, and offered medical benefits. She also had a cafeteria on site, which she paid for, and had wooden floors for the workers to stand on instead of concrete, which, as you may know, is really bad on your back. All of this at a time when virtually no other employer was doing it. This was also during a time when women didn't even have the right to vote. According to writer Betsy Baguette of seamwork.com, this is a direct quote. When asked to name a female fashion icon that revolutionized the apparel industry, some people think of Coco Chanel. Few realize that Chanel had a contemporary in America, Nell Donnelly, who also built a fashion empire, re-envisioned the way women thought about clothing, and changed the way the industry did business. Her designs catered to the average woman, and they hung in millions of closets around the world. Nell Donnelly was a self-made woman who abandoned both the societal role and wardrobe of a housewife in order to design and sell clothing that women would find comfortable, utilitarian, and stylish. Her approach to design, construction, and the treatment of workers all contain valuable lessons that are still important to this day. End quote. Nelly Don was the bomb, okay? That's why when I came upon her story while watching Mysteries of the Museum on the Travel Channel, I had to know more. I eventually wrote a novel about her because I was so fascinated by her and in awe. Why did I call it The Abduction of Nelly Don? Because of Nellie's success, especially during the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression, she became a target for men looking to make a quick buck. Nellie was kidnapped before the infamous Lindbergh baby kidnapping by men who were career criminals and wouldn't hesitate to kill if they had to. And what I found even more fascinating was the real-life twist that came from the story, along with a U.S. senator willing to jeopardize his own career in order to find Nellie by working with organized crime figures. Now, although my book is a fictionalized account of Nellie and the kidnapping, I used real names when I could and actual facts surrounding her life and the kidnapping. The novel was recorded as an audiobook as well, which was narrated by Clay Lomakayu. Let's listen to the first chapter of the audiobook.
Chapter 1. White Anemones. Do you know what happens to the human body when it plummets over 200 feet and makes contact with a body of water? Binding kinetic energy swirls between the two forces, man and water. Once they collide, the body will become more fluid, while the water remains and behaves the same. What is the result? It all depends on the point of contact. Brooke Hart, a handsome young man of 22, had no reason to consider such things as he lived a carefree life working for his father, Alex J. Hart, in one of their family-owned retail stores. The youngest of a brood of siblings, Brooke was his father's favorite. His ambition and leadership skills put him first in line to take over the profitable family business. Although the Great Depression was in full swing, the Harts were living the American dream. That was until that fateful day. "My father, please, contact him. He will give you—" Before Brooke could finish his sentence, a terracotta brick taken from a construction site on Hoover Street knocked him to the ground. "You people are always giving orders," Jack said, a common hood, now wearing Hart's new waistcoat. Jack was a man beaten down by his own ineptness, a man who blamed the world for his continual failures. "Tired of the likes of you and your kind dining on devil's eggs, while I gotta steal a lousy loaf." Jack and his accomplice, Thurman, wrapped baling wire around Brooke's legs and hands. The baling wire cut through the fine twilled-cuffed trousers and butterfly-collared shirt, gouging Brooke's flesh. Jack said, "We ain't figured out where to stash you during the negotiations, so we figured we'd hide you in the San Mateo." "Sorry, Crumb, but this is your big kiss-off." Thurman echoed his sentiments. "Yeah, last kiss-off, friend." Brooke mumbled a few incoherent words as Jack took hold of the upper part of him, while Thurman grabbed him from his knees down. They lifted him onto the railing of the San Mateo Bridge before heaving him over the side. Brooke's wails reverberated over the river. He plunged into the water, feet first, and bobbed as he came up for air, unaware that hitting the water in this manner allows for a greater survival rate. Brooke managed to free himself from the baling wire while thrashing about. But Jack and Thurman weren't through with Brooke. "Look at him, making me work for a living." Jack walked to the back of his 10-year-old Hillman Tourer and unlocked the trunk. He reached inside, revealed a worn Thompson machine gun wrapped in yesterday's paper, walked over to the edge, climbed down under the stringers, and aimed. Brooke's body continued to convulse from the bullets long after he took his last breath. His body unhurriedly slipped below the surface. Jack climbed back up. "Geez, almost forgot." Jack reached into the passenger side of the Tourer and pulled out a rumpled bag filled with white anemone flowers, a cup-shaped bloom known for its distinctive deep-lobed foliage. He tossed them to Thurman as he shoved the Thompson back into the trunk. Thurman palmed a handful, scattered them at his feet, and kicked a few over the edge. While working at a nursery, the only legit job Jack held, he learned that this flower signified sorrow and death. This bit of information proved so appealing to Jack that he made it a point to remember. The anemones danced and swirled as the wind's sudden gust blew open their petals, the same wind which would eventually scatter their spiritless petals far and away. Jack slammed the trunk shut. Both men climbed into the car and drove away. These same white anemone flowers were left on the doorstep of Mr. and Mrs. Hart, along with a ransom note demanding $40,000. Alex Hart paid the ransom in hopes that his son would be returned to him. This was at the urging of police and their dear friend and champion, Senator James A. Reed. His colleagues considered Senator Reed to be a member of the old right and isolationist, but he'd assure you that he was neither old nor right. He considered himself progressive, someone who didn't always toe the Democratic Party line, not if it was used as a noose. The phrasemaker himself, Woodrow Wilson, and Reed had often butted heads simply because it was a Tuesday. Senator Reed once stood front and center on the Senate floor, denouncing the League of Nations as an H.G. Wells' One World of Brothers United in a League as fanciful and absurd. Through this same electrifying speech, he denounced his colleagues who ushered in prohibition by calling them gentlemen who vote dry and drink wet. When meeting Reed, no smile would grace his face, yet his manner was always courteous. His gray eyes were penetrating, but were nothing but thoughtful. If you were a person with dishonorable intentions, your eyes would refuse to meet his. If you wanted justice, you would see Senator Reed. The senator frequently used the power behind his overpowering presence in office to quickly, hastily resolve any desperate situation. He met with the local police and pored over the evidence, including the ransom note and anemone flowers left behind on the bridge. A man of great faith in the system and even stronger fortitude, Reed's involvement kept the Hart kidnapping case front and center. Reed was not used to losing, but had to accept this painful exception once young Brooke Hart's remains surfaced. His fortitude would be tested yet again, just 7 months later, when Nell Donnelly was taken just outside her home.
I want to say thank you to Clay again for his awesome reading of The Abduction of Nelly Don. I think his voice is perfect for the novel. Thanks, Clay. So, does Nellie survive? Does her empire survive? I'll leave it to you to find those answers out on your own. Join me next time when I share with you 8 tips for spotting a scam crowdfunding campaign from my book, Hacking Kickstarter. I really appreciate you listening and subscribing to this podcast on iTunes, and don't forget to rate me on iTunes as well. To get in touch with me, go to authoruncut.com or sensitivityreviews.com. You can also email me your comments and suggestions for future shows at mailbag@patricewilliamsmarks.com. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Until then, write on.